This presentation is going to be fast, but I talk slow. And it's because I'm trying to put 6 months of knowledge into a 45-minute talk. We're recording it, so hopefully in the future, if someone wants to see what I said, they can go through it and pause it as they go watch the talk. We're going to go back in time to DEF CON 2019-27. I'm walking around at 3 in the morning with some friends in Paris Casino, and I run into Andy from Aeronautics, and he gives me this badge. And I think about all these people at DEF CON that are wearing these badges. I don't get it. But as soon as I got that badge in my hand, it made sense. This thing called badge life. People just making all of these badges and lights everywhere. What does it really mean? I knew that I wanted to make a badge. So I picked up KiCad a few times and didn't really get it. There wasn't a driving force. But the reason that I wanted to design my own PCB was because of my escape room. In June 2015, my wife and I started an escape room here in San Diego. And I wanted to make all of my own parts, my own relays. So this is the back end of one of the scenarios we have. A little bit closer, you can see Arduinos, Raspberry Pis. There's all these different pieces. But I wanted to make my own because I had to conform to what another company had. Now, if this is the back end, it controls the front end. So this is what the players see. I wanted that ability to make the lights light up. And I made something. If I get one person to use that promo code, I get a date night, so please. One person click on that. So as things went on, I worked at Somerset, and my boss said, Jason, how do you want to develop yourself? What kind of hacker do you want to be? I mean, it's hardware. I love hardware. And PCB design was in my future and gave me that opportunity. As more and more projects came up to design boards, I got better and better at using the program. A year later, I got a question. It said, hey, the BSides, they're designing a badge and they want some help. Do you want to join their team? I'm thinking, of course I do. Here I am, I'm going to be with experts, people who know what they're doing. And here we start. Here's where our timeline starts. So, 21st September, I'm in. Finally, that group everyone knows about, that no one can get into, the badge design group. I finally know who's in that group. And it's kind of amazing to be a part of the crowd. I'm in, and what's the very first thing I do when I get to that group? I cycle all the way to the very start of the group, and I read every single lesson learned, every single conversation that took place in there, because I wanted to see not what they did right, but what they did wrong with it. 1 week later, I get this message is sent two-way, and right there, we are excited to build an amazing badge. You're wondering, what is this where is this coming from? Because about 2 hours before this, I learned that the team doesn't exist. And I get asked, Jason, do you solely want to build this badge? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I said, of course, let's just do a full send. So we went to the office, my boss, and we put it down. How long will each phase take of this badge to design it? 57 hours. That's what I'm thinking. I got it on paper, it's mapped out. This will only take 57 hours. I can do this thing. What's my budget? $10,000. That's kind of a lot of money. I have to build 400 badges with $10,000. I already had this idea of what I want. We're going to use an ESP32. They're really cool. They got Wi-Fi. They have Bluetooth. I don't even know what I'm going to do yet, but I know I'm going to use those, and I know I'm going to use a 7-segment display. 16 November. Seems like quite a bit of time has passed to this point, and that's because I've been building everything out, getting ready to drop this bomb on the crowd. Okay, not a bomb, just what I had come up with. But the very first thing you have to do, documentation. Build out your GitHub, build out your GitLab. And what kind of scared me was that other people were going to be looking at my code. I like to keep my code kind of hidden because it's messy and yeah, it's just messy, but it gets the job done. And with this project, we're going to have 3 courses of action. Yeah, I'd like to say there was just the one, but everyone wants, what happens, what's your contingencies in case this doesn't work out? Course of action 1, this is the big one. You have an attacker, you have a defender. The attacker is looking for a badge that's in defense mode. The badge that's in defense mode is like, hey, here I am, cool. Attacker connects to it, and everyone starts off with 5,000 points. When the attacker connects, he starts getting more points, and the defender starts to lose points. And then they do a rock, paper, scissors game. So the attacker will choose which weapon, the defender decides which weapon they want to use. Something happens, points are made, points are lost, and that is what the entire premise of the game was. That's what we were going to do for Course of Action 1. Some basic thoughts that I was writing down. How big was it going to be? 2 inches by 2 inches? Come on, that's a saltine cracker. I don't even know what I was thinking with that. ESP32, we got that 7-segment display, and we're going to need some LEDs and the tactile switches. Now this resonates with me. I was going through all my notes when I prepared this, and I had the first day I just made pages of all these points that came across my head, but this is just, it comes up over and over again, especially when you're designing boards. Do not worry about making it pretty. You will spend so much time making it pretty, and then you will throw that part away and you just lost 3 hours. And you'll see this come up over and over throughout our adventure. Batteries, lithium ion, lipo, alkaline. I gotta think about the players, right? What if they wanna go home and recharge this? Then you're like, come on, like, they don't care at all. They're just gonna put this away on the side and never use again. So yeah, you're gonna get alkaline for sure. And then we need to do app tests. We need to see how many batteries do we need in this thing. Now, this, right? You're gonna hear Wade come up a lot in this, and Wade, we'll call Wade my handler. Wade made sure that I didn't get too out of control while still letting me express my freedom, but he just wanted this so bad into everything.
I want a black badge that's gonna be Max Beach themed.
No interruptions, please. Course of Action 2. All right, here, you guys have to have something. You're just gonna play rock, paper, scissors, and everyone was pretty happy if we even got number 3, which is just a badge that lit up, so I was happy with that. I also really needed to have what we'll call an SAO. And these are these little things that go on the top of a conference badge. In fact, the badge you have now, you'll see the SAO. Just these 2 pieces right here. Here's some more. Someone had made this for BSides in the past. I don't know, I found this in our top secret group. I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm not going to read these out, but I had these dreams with SAOs. I thought we'd have them for, people could buy them if they want for donation, and they do all these crazy things to make your badge super OP. Like, look at the $100 one. This display screen that shows what the attacker is using to attack, right? So everyone's having fun with it. Now, KiCad. Learning the libraries. That is your first step. For my generation, I would say, when you're learning to drive stick, something eventually clicks with that clutch and that brake and that gas, and you know how to drive it. I don't know, I asked ChatGPT how to make an analogy for your generation. But once we figure this out, make 3 folders. It was so easy for me to set up 3 folders. One is 3D files, one is footprints and symbols. And what do they mean? First is KiCad_sim. That is the electronic part. That is where you are connecting the wires and deciding what goes where. And you'll notice all 3 of these all say ESP32. So these specific things are for the ESP32. This is the footprint. Now the footprint, if I were to just take this image and put it into a design software and send it out to a factory and have it come back, you would see this exact thing on that board that comes back with all these little red parts would just be pieces of copper. And finally, the dot step. That's your 3D image. You don't need it, but it sells. If you're trying to show it to someone and it looks really pretty. I have never had to make one of these by hand. I don't think I ever would. I always just see if someone else has done it, and I've been successful most of the time. And each of these components has this screen where you put all this information in. You fill all this information so you know everything about it. It's amazing, but not in the beginning, because you, again, are gonna keep switching parts out. You just need two things. Where did you find that part? And what is the data sheet? And then just move along until you're actually gonna get serious with it. Version 1, this is our schematic. Yeah, I know you can't read it, I didn't really care about that. Moving on to this. And you're like, all right, what's that big deal? I'll tell you what, someone is not gonna get stabbed. When I saw that, I was like, all right, it's coming. My first design was a bit round. I was thinking no one's getting stabbed here. And so that's our design. So if I sent this out, this is what would come back. And here's 3D viewer. So now we can see the spec, you can see the buttons and the ESP32. But if you look at the lanyard holes, they're all off. They're all over the place. Why? Because I'm not making it pretty. Just get your design out there so you can just have it. And then we can move on. Cheat sheet. Print the cheat sheet out. Have it in front of you. You can't learn the hotkeys for a program you've never used before. You have to get extra frustrated moving your mouse to click on the wire over and over until you learn pushing W gets a wire for you. So have that cheat sheet ready to go so you can start developing it, because once you learn all those different shortcuts and keys you can use, I'm not kidding, it just takes hours off. And I was looking at my design, defend. The patches were gonna say defend, 100%, the defenders would say defend, but you cannot make an N with a 7-segment display. In fact, you can't make a lot of letters with a 7-segment display. So it needed to be bumped up to a 14-segment display, which, all right, that makes sense. SparkFun, what a great company. The section at the bottom, you'll see the hookup guide, the data sheet, and the schematic, because they are here to help you. There's a beautiful schematic. I don't need to do the hard work. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I have limited budget, limited time. If someone else has done some of the work for me, I'm totally gonna take what they've done. And what I wanna know right now, because I'm using that 14-segment display, I wanna know what drives it. We got VK16, K33. That's the part I need to buy, because if you look at the other parts on it, capacitors, resistors, I don't know, 3 volt to 5 volt, that might be something special. But getting back to that LED driver, it's not, it's the most important thing. So when I Google that, it comes up with this piece. I'm thinking, all right, it still says 16K, it looks the same, but the initials are kind of a little bit different. So we bring up the data sheet for both of those. And I'm just looking at this, like, what is happening? Is this two different companies? Everything here is exactly the same? All right, let's continue this quest. We're gonna reverse image search that icon at the top left, because I don't even know what company makes it, but I'll bet you they have this. How do so many companies use this? There's like 8 pages of these that are different colors the whole way. And look at the top left. All right, the only thing that it found was that exact data sheet I was looking at, so that sucks. So I'm looking through the data sheet. Oh, right, we got something in Chinese. And we got an email. Let's use this. All right, where are we going with this? That's not even the right word. That's not even the right company. It doesn't end with an I. And that's that rabbit hole that you start going down. That's why that 57 hours, I think I dropped about 4 or 5 hours just trying to find this piece out. I'm like, where did my time just go with this? But that's a part of finding these pieces. Hey, I know, why don't I just look at the back of that image? Oh, it looks like there's a company name there. Oh, and there's that little image. It looks like Vinca. Let's type that in. Cool, I found this data sheet, but something looks a little off. So there's the original data sheet and the new one I found, and now it's just got tons of different things that aren't even related, right? Where are we? What is happening? So let's move back over to that other chip we found. We got the HT. We're pushing with this. At least I know where it comes from. It comes from Poltech. And then I finally find it. It is somewhere in Taiwan, and I can buy 5 of them for $235. Awesome. It's set. That right there is a 100% piece. That is something that we can fill out. Version 2. Yeah, it's still kind of thrown everywhere, nothing's really organized. The design though, completely different. We're still round, we still got those round corners, no one's getting stabbed today. It is not round, and we can look at that 3D viewer. We have some things, so the dev board is going. Now we have the ESP32 that's there. We have that boost converter that they had added to maybe drop it up a bit. And now power is something that becomes a bit of an issue. First, ESP32, what kind of power does it take? 3 volts. We can work with 3 volts. In fact, that's my favorite. We have two, right now we have two AA batteries. AA batteries are 1.5 volts. We put them in series, that's 3 volts. That is what I need. That's our little ESP32, what it looks like on the board. What about our IC driver? 4.5 volts. Darn it. If that was just 3 volts, things would have been so much better, but what about that other data sheet? It said it was 3 volts. Maybe we could just go off that other data sheet. Well, it didn't work that way. And what about our display? Awesome, it is 3.3. So those are our big power, our hungry sources. Moving right along, we're on to version 3. Schematics up, still messy, not really organized. Big changes. What are big changes? We're kind of moving things around a little bit more here and thinking about how are we going to program this device. We could have used USB-C, because right here at the bottom, that's not a bad deal. But I want to go with this Tag Connect. Why? I wish I could tell you why. I want to say it was for budget, but I think there's something really hackery and cool about the Tag Connect, which looks like this. I mean, that thing's ferocious, and you don't just plug it in, it's got those little teeth, and it grips that pad. You can put tons of different amounts of the holes that you want on top of it. And there it is on top of our board. Okay, at this point, we're feeling good. We got our power figured out, and it's time to pull the trigger and get these parts. Now, these are the parts that are going to actually be on the board. I need to make sure that they work first. So they get sent out, I'm ready to work on them. 04 December, it works. Awesome. And so now we know that we can send it out. If you're making a board for the first time, OshPart is going to be where you want to go. They are so friendly and they make it so easy to do it. Go down to the support, and I'm doing drill specs right now because this, for some reason, at the very beginning was complex for me. They all have these different drill specs with all the minimums that you need for the holes that you're drilling. These holes that go in the board that connect the things on the top of the board to the bottom of the board. And this is what it looks like in KiCad. And if you put them next to each other, nothing really makes sense. Like the same words are there, but for someone who doesn't have a clue with what they're doing with it, this is kind of daunting to look at. I wish I could tell you what to do. Just get ready for it is what I can say. And now you can add ChatGPT that can help. But when you go to other companies, they're going to have different default specs too. What's nice is there are companies that have their tools ready to go. So you don't need to figure it all out. And when you're sending your board out, you're going to need to make these Gerber files with this plot screen that comes out. Prototyping, not a bad deal. $5 for a square inch, you get 3 boards, and the shipping is 9 to 12 days. So this is what it looks like. I took those Gerber files, uploaded it, 44 bucks. All right, let's send it out. And this is the point where OshPart's like, double check your design. Are you sure that you want it? And you're like, this is when you actually should double check your design. Timeline. It's great because they will keep putting new categories up there every day, so you can click on that every hour just wondering where your boards are in anticipation. When you scroll to the very bottom, especially when you're doing SMD parts, you need a stencil. Depending on the board, the micro microcontroller you're using. For the ESP32C3 Mini, that's what we use, you need a stencil. I've tried so many without it, and it's just not worth your time. A stencil, so this is what it looks like in Osh Park. You upload your file, and it's like, all right, what do you want it to look like? And they ship you out. There's different materials, but I got a piece of metal. And how exactly does it work? You're going to put the metal over your PCB, and then you're going to smear, or is it smear? Smear, yeah. So you're going to smear the solder paste, which is almost like a liquid solder, and remove it. And look at this awesome picture. You got squeegee, solder paste, it's going on, and then you throw the thing into an oven, or you get hot air, and everything is soldered. S&D reference. There is no need to be a hero. Your numbers for parts are 0508 and 0603. Do not go any smaller than that. You don't need to, and you're just going to hate your life as you lose them. DigiKey. They have this ruler. I think in a couple of weeks, it's the Del Mar Electronics Manufacturing Show. It's happening in Del Mar. DigiKey will be there. It's free. It's super fun. Go get yourself one of these rulers. I have 3 now. I get one every year. Or just pay the $8 to DigiKey and they'll send you one. That ruler has a 13-page data sheet. This ruler made no sense to me until I started designing PCBs. And then you realize that all these different parts on it are specifically made for designing PCBs. So see if you can get your hands on one of those. 9 December. It's time to buy the parts that I'm worried are going to run out of stock because they're the big components. So let's spend some money. ESP32, done, it's coming. Our IC driver, done, we're grabbing that too. Voltage regulator, perhaps we picked up some of those. The voltage regulator was a bit weird though. We went through a lot, but we did end up getting that. And the display screens from SparkFun. So those were our major purchases. And we are finally on to version 4. Now you can see when things are starting to get just a little bit more pretty. And that's because I put boxes around things. It just changes everything, doesn't it? When you have a title and some boxes. And assembly. That was something that kept coming up in all the conversations. What exactly is assembly? We don't need to worry about that yet. But this company's small batch assembly, when I was trying to figure out what it was, I reached out to them. We didn't end up going with them for the badge, but I've since done business with the company, and the CEO, Bob, is just amazing and a great guy to work with. So assembly. This is a pick and place machine. You take your PCB, you throw it somewhere in that machine, and then you have all these reels. These reels are full of parts. That machine takes all those parts and it solders them onto the PCB for you, so you don't need to do it by hand. When you send it out to them, you need to give them a ton of extra because, as they described it, the machine eats the parts. Who knows where they go? Not me. And this, fiducial. Oh, I've been trying to figure out what this was for years and years, and I finally figured out fiducial. It is for a pick and place machine, and you put them in different sections so it knows where it needs to solder the parts onto your board. These are from the fact page of small batch assembly, which was actually a very helpful fact page. Then we made it, we put it into the schematic, and we have a page 2 because we're organizing things and keeping it pretty. And we're ready to send it out. Notice here at the bottom, now I'm really getting excited because I opted for the super swift service for, I don't know, maybe 30 bucks more, but I need to get those boards. We have our timeline and now our Gerber viewer. So this screen right here is that main KiCad screen, and when you click Gerber viewer, it will show you all the different layers that you have made in your PCB design. So right now, we're looking at a side-by-side comparison. When you go to Osh Park and you load up all of your files, it is going to have this purple on the left, and it will have a detailed description on exactly what that is on the right. That's why Osh Park is great, at least for your first couple of designs, because it helps you learn what you're doing. So we have our top layer and bottom layer. The holes, where all the holes in the V is going. Our top pour, our top silk screen, bottom silk screen, bottom pour, solder mask for the top, and solder mask for the bottom. And finally the outline. The outline's really interesting, but you just gotta make sure that's connected or things get very upset with you. The 21st of December, with so many people helping to get stuff, you need to have that organization, that chart, whatever method you're using. But as I was buying pieces one by one, I knew that some didn't need to, some were gonna get purchased later. There it is, just a little bit prettier and in different ways, close up. 8 January, time's moving along. Now, what's significant about this, if you look at the quantity, we have 9. That means this isn't just a normal, hey, let's see if this works. This is saying, this is gonna work, and now I'm ready to get into some testing, so let's just do a full send. And they come in and they solder together and it works. Oh, it works. So that's great. So this is the design, there's the top layer of it, and here's the bottom, and something significant has changed. Now there's no way you'll be able to tell what it is, but just know that there's something wrong. So remember we went through this whole thing with our Vinca, right, where we couldn't find it, all right, and instead we got the whole tech part, and it wasn't until I received the part that, and I noticed one was significantly smaller. Like, can you imagine my surprise? Even when I had it in my hand and I pulled out of the package, I didn't notice till I went to solder it on, and wow, that was a rough day. And then I used to have to question things. They totally messed up, and then I went to their website, and I guess there are 3 different kinds. I don't know how I missed it. The decision was made, do I try and figure out where to get that original big, gigantic IC driver from, or do I completely redo my design? Yeah, we're gonna redo the design, because do you remember how much time I spent trying to even find that part? Now, how much did that design cost me? Well, I looked at my time logs, so 4 hours. In my head, I thought it would have been a lot worse. And another new addition we made is the logo that we have. I was pumped to get the logo. It was the day before I was about to send everything out, and I went to the Arduino meeting. So the 3rd Wednesday of every month at our escape room, we do an Arduino meeting. The app Meetup, they decided to start charging $400 a year instead of whatever it was. So we're getting rid of Meetup. One of the guys at the meeting just made this thing. It's rough. It's super rough. But it's gonna get there, and just so you know that it exists, where we just talk about nerd stuff. And I asked one of them, I said, I cannot figure out how to get this logo on there. And he said, Jason, I got you, I have the easy button for you. You're gonna go to image converter. You're gonna grab your logo, you're gonna click on load source image at the top right, and then it's gonna get mad at you and give you an error. Then you're gonna load up everyone's favorite photo editor, and then you're going to export it and unclick this right here, save color profile. That's all you need to do. And then load it back up again and change that size. At the far right you see size, I changed it down to 100, and it's going to turn it into a footprint. So now we have 3 of those files. All we need is the footprint. We're gonna go to footprint editor, load it in, and now we have the logo. Now, a year ago, this was a much, much more complex process, but they've been listening to the people. KiCad is open source, and it's been getting better. The silkscreen on the back. Every badge I get, I always unsolder everything I can, because I'm determined that someone has put a secret there, and I'm disappointed about 9 out of 10 times. So I had to put something on the back, and not just a little. Like, that's where the battery holder was on the back, so you had to really disconnect that battery to see what was hiding there. And there's all the layers put on top of each other for version 4. So we started up another little adventure in Vegas, and this is when my skills are just at their prime right now. So I'm like, this is what I've been wanting to learn to design PCBs for. It's to make stuff for the escape room. So this was for a Raspberry Pi Pico, and these are cool because you don't need screws. You just push them in and put the wires in, and it's got a regulator to drop it from 12 volts to 3 volts. And you just think, man, this would have been so much easier if I had this skill set like 3 or 4 or 10 years ago. But at least now it's there. And this is also the time where we can do that massive drop. All those components, all the extra things that we didn't need. I don't know if it's up here. There it is right there. One of the most expensive parts we have is the battery holder at 69 cents. Isn't that crazy? And these numbers you'll see, like 1,200 for that capacitor, and you're thinking, Jason, you only needed 400, why would you get 12? Well, look at the price, 0.009, and if I had only gotten 400, instead of that being $11.50, it would have been like $30. So there's this very fun game to play with DigiKey and ordering those quantities. And now I want you to imagine what it's going to be like when you wake up the next day to something like this. And I know I was terrified for the person who wrote that back in 2020, because that they were having a very bad day. They're actually in this room, but I took their name out, so I didn't want to call them out. But it did motivate me to figure assembly out. Now assembly, the date, we were at the 31st of July, and it's something that I've been warned about over and over again, but I just didn't take that warning. And that's the Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year, they say it's 3 days, but what I would equate it to is our Christmas New Year's. I mean, people pretty much stop working on December 15th and then start working in January 7th. So we could try and figure something out. I had all the parts. I would have to send all the parts to China. They would assemble all the parts and then send it all back. But then we're also playing that weird Chinese New Year game. Where are we with this? All different parts of their company take random times off. And to me, the best decision was just get our boards from China. I don't want an entire ocean separating our boards, and we'll take it from there. And in about 4 days, they sent us all the PCBs that we needed. The anticipation that I got, right? This is it. This is like 5 months of work. I finally find this is the board that I am planning to give to the people at BSides. Man, if this doesn't work, what is going to happen? Man, it worked perfectly. First time, and it was just like, whatever feeling I went through in that 24 hours of anxiety and maybe sad and happy, I wish I could bottle that up, because that was amazing. All right, there it is, and assembly. So here's the first one. We're looking at so 400 boards, what it's going to cost, and that's at $761. So assembly, we'd mentioned, I didn't know anything about it, and our account manager, Leonard, he had been asking me to help out with building batch the whole time. He's like, what do you need help with, what do you need help with? So finally I was like, you know what, I don't know assembly, can you tell me what you need from me? Just went after it. He figured out all the companies, everything that I need to know, and then he told me, Jason, this is what you need to know. And it was just so amazing. And it's like those people you work with and even the volunteers, and that's where the help starts coming from, that it's just so necessary. It's not me designing it, or building the entire batch. Maybe at some point it was, but not this time. So one of our quotes was $35,000. This one seemed more agreeable, $3,000, we got everything we needed. The Gerber I sent was for a single. When PCBWay made them for us, they put it in a double. PCB White is just amazing. They have the best customer support I think I've seen. Their only problem, you have to wait 24 hours between every question you send them. So when you send them a question, you better be sure you got everything in that accurate and ready to go. So it seems that the board, all the components came out to be about $454 for everything that's in it. GuideCAD has a plugin called Interactivation Video HTML BOM, and it's necessary. I did an upload and it broke it, and I spent hours fixing it just so I could use this again. Whatever you highlight over, it'll appear on the side so you know exactly what you need to solder and where you need to solder it. All right, 51 days. That's when we threw the rest of those parts in the voltage regulator. That's when we bought all of the tag connects we needed to program, and Wade's like, Jason, we need more. I'm like, all right, they're not gonna have anything on them, and he didn't care. 9th March, 14 days. Ethan buys, we get a Somerset stamp made. He buys the wax, he learns how to make wax with this twine, and then sends this letter out to all these people to come to the soldering party. Now the soldering party, Wade had mentioned the soldering party in our first meeting, and I thought about that at least twice a month. I was just so next level pumped for this soldering party. No one else was. No one else wanted this soldering party. They thought it was extra stupid, except for Wade and I, so I'm glad he's here. I don't know what he thought about it. But and at some point, war games became a theme. I don't know, that was on their level. I was just in my own world. But I love the logistics of coming up with the soldering party. That was just weird. It's weird, right, to like logistics, but I like the efficiency. So I set it all up, got the parts, and waited. And then on the 16th of March, we had the soldering party, and it was absolutely everything that I thought it would be. We had college professors teaching people to solder that have never soldered before. These generations, we had these experienced hackers teaching the new generation on how to build things, like imparting their wisdom, and someone who had never touched a computer before uploading firmware. But as the day went on, we slowly saw the badges build more and more, and when the last one was done, we had the Nerf fight, and that was, we bought Nerf guns for every single person that came, and for at least what I thought would be about 2 minutes, I think turned into maybe 15 of just grown men and women just behaving like children, and it was incredible. I want a Nerf battle at least once a year, just like this. And with it, you have this group of volunteers that came on a Saturday and spent 8 hours of their time. We had presidents and CEOs and very experienced hackers, account managers. We got someone in the back just happy to be there. It was a great time, and I didn't notice this until about 4 days ago, and I thought it was super trippy. Are you ready? Check this out. Isn't that so crazy? All right, February 28th, 1 day remaining. ChatGPT, I need 400 four-letter words separated by the pipe symbol because we need to give everyone handles on their badges, and what better way to do it. And I made 10 lists and just gave it to everyone, and they went through and picked the ones that made sense, and then put them on the whiteboard. People were just having a lot of fun with this and coming up with their own clever handles to put on it. You had that same smaller group that came in to help out with everything. And in the end, we have our 4 little ones, and then all of those. You can see some of the names. It'd be cool if they all said it at the same time. It just didn't work out that way. And the final entry is, it's great, right? All caps. I'm just so stoked to be done with this, finishing it up, 8 hours. And the final party it was great. We brought in a DJ Overvolt, and he was playing his music, and the CTF. The CTF is something that there isn't nearly enough time. It needs its own talk with it. And that is solely what Ethan was into. Whatever he was doing for months, and that whole War Games thing, he took every game, every experience that you saw in that movie War Games, and it's all on the badge. You can even play it now. All the code is on GitHub. You can load it all up. But are you kidding? Look at this. Like, who makes this? I don't even know what's happening. He didn't even use ChatGPT. No way on. He just did it by hand. All right, there's the final. We had the scoreboard. Everyone's stoked on it. And let's remember that first number. 208 was the actual number. That's how long it took me. You're like, yeah, but what about your budget? That's green. That's right. We did not go over budget. Someone's thinking, well, dang it, we could have had that USB to program it. Yeah, I know. The special thanks, right? I mean, there's always thanks to be done, but the names up here are the people who just really, they really helped out a lot with things, and I think that they would appreciate standing up one by one and everyone applauding. I'm totally kidding. I think people would kill me if that happened. I was asked quite often immediately after the badge, if I would want to do it again. And I mean, it's a solid 100% no, but it's not for the reasons that you think. I mean, of course, time. My family was incredible during this. I actually had to make a schedule. I mean, usually life just kind of gives me a schedule, but I had to make one. But the reason I would say no is I honestly feel that this was an incredible opportunity that I was given. Being able to, I said it last year and I would say it even now, I call it like a master's thesis, where I was forced to learn that logistics, that design, fabrication, assembly, all this stuff that I kind of knew, but not really, and then a whole bunch of other stuff, plus all the people that you meet with it, and timelines. It's an opportunity that I would never be able to get anywhere else. So, yeah, I think whoever does it the following year, I hope that someone really reaches out and tries to get that same experience I did, because it was incredible. Thank you all for coming. And I have a lot of imposter syndrome, so I timed this perfectly so no one can ask me anything.